facts about Vietnam. So, number 1.
Vietnam is a country in Southeast Asia, located next to Laos, Cambodia and China.
Now, Vietnam is 331,000 square kilometers, slightly smaller than Germany and bigger than Italy.
There is almost 100 million people in Vietnam, which ranks it 14th most populated country in the world.
The Vietnamese language is very dependent on tones, and each different tone has a different meaning to the word.
We will give you some examples of the Vietnamese language, like hello is Xin Chào, thank you is Cam Ơn, and see you later is
Hang Gặp Lại. The Vietnamese currency is called dong, and 25,000 dong is €1. Wow. Which means, if you had €100, you would be a millionaire.
Vietnam is one of the 5 communist countries. We are now listing the other 4. Cuba,
China,
Laos,
North Korea.
We are wearing typical traditional Vietnamese clothes, like a sapa, which is up in the north in the hills, traditional skirt with a belt, which has little jingly coins on it.
And what's on your head?
And a traditional rice fielder Vietnamese hat. This that I found in the desert, actually.
Well, most Vietnamese people wear this, as this is the Star of Vietnam. It gives the picture of farmers, soldiers, businessmen, workers and intellectuals. Now,
Why is it red?
The communist flag.
Communist flag.
Now, as the Vietnamese War raged on, most farmers were also soldiers. So while they were working in the fields with the oats, they usually had a rifle slung over their shoulder. And at the moment the North called to them, they put the hose away, swung the rifle off their shoulder, and went to war.
The Vietnam War was a war between the communists in the north and the non-communists in the south. The communists in the north were supported by China, and the
non-communists
in the south were supported by America.
And who was the leader of the communists in the north?
Ho Chi Minh.
And when did he start fighting?
1955.
1955, okay. And who was the American president when America first started to get involved in Vietnam?
John F. Kennedy.
John F. Kennedy. And what happened to him?
He was assassinated.
When was that?
1964.
1964, good. And who took over from him?
Lyndon Johnson.
Lyndon Johnson.
Lyndon Johnson was the first president actually to send official troops into Vietnam.
Combat troops, that's right, yeah. So when did the war officially end?
In 1973.
1973, and how did it end?
It ended in a peace agreement
that was signed in Paris.
That's right. And at that point, how many American soldiers had been killed?
60,000.
And how many had been injured?
150,000.
Okay, so who was the American president who signed the Paris Agreement?
Nixon.
Okay, and what happened to Nixon after that?
Watergate.
And what did Watergate do to him?
He resigned since he knew he was going to be impeached.
Okay, and who took over from Nixon?
Gerald Ford.
Gerald Ford, right. And Gerald Ford tried to get support
from the Congress.
Right. And what did Ho Chi Minh know?
He knew that Nixon had basically sworn that he was going to protect South Vietnam with his last breath.
That's right.
But for Ford, it wasn't that personal. So he went to the Congress, and that year the American economy hadn't done that well, so they were low on funds.
And what else was happening in America about sending soldiers to the war?
Oh yeah. 60,000 100,000 people died in the war, and that's about 120,000 parents who have lost loved ones, lost children, 2 children, 3 children, and even the people who had actually joined a fight in the Vietnam War would rather have gone to prison than go back.
So the American people had no interest in being in the war anymore.
No.
Right. So Gerald Ford went to Congress to ask for money and for soldiers, and what did they say?
They said no.
Right. And what did that mean to Ho Chi Minh?
It was basically a free start. America couldn't support the South, and the North had China, and China just gave them a load of weapons, and then North swept in, took Saigon, and then just to tip it off, they named Saigon Ho Chi Minh City.
Okay. And when was Nixon impeached? Can you remember that? When did Nixon resign?
1974.
1974. And when did Saigon fall?
1975.
That's right. So Saigon fell quite quickly after Nixon resigned.
We actually went to the place where the last South Vietnam flag was held in South Vietnam, because what they basically did, 2 tanks and a few men marched into the palace, and nobody gave up a fight. They knew it was all over.
Actually, we know where the last South Vietnamese flag was taken down. Can you remember that story?
Yeah, and so after they knew that the North was going to be attacking Saigon, loads of American family were trying to get out, and their wives and children were trying to get out, since they knew they would be killed if Ho Chi Minh knew that they were of some American blood. So they all took choppers and went onto the ships, and
Some of them stayed to try and protect their Vietnamese friends and family.
and
Where did the ships head to?
To the Philippines.
And what was the problem when they got there?
Because South Vietnam didn't exist anymore.
Okay, and the ships were travelling with what flag?
The
South
Vietnamese
The
flag.
South Vietnamese flag. So when they got there, they weren't allowed into the Philippines. So what did they do?
they lowered the flag very ceremoniously, because what they were basically doing
Was
is
saying
saying,
goodbye to their country.
and they,
And what flag did they run up instead?
America.
The American flag. That's right. And that was the last South Vietnamese flag to come down.
Bye guys, hope you enjoyed this video.
Don't forget to smash that like button
and subscribe.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.